Okay, first ride on the Double R this year. I've had the GS out for a few hundred miles, and I've had my vintage 71/5 out for just a quick little 30-mile ride maybe. But first time out on the Double R, late March here in Minnesota. Does that because it hasn't ran. Syncing the two cameras here. Alright, let's go. No idea if I have any gas in this thing. I think I filled it at the fall. One of the things I don't like about this bike, no gas gauge. It's got a low fuel light, but alright, so I last year bought this in the spring, so just about a year ago right now, and I told you I was a old fart on a sports bike, leader bike here, and kind of gave you a biased, not unbiased, but a biased review, because I do like BMW motorcycles. I've got 4 of them, as I maybe have said in another video. So I'm not fully biased, unbiased here. I do have a slant towards BMWs, but I can give you, what I can offer here is a review of this bike from an old geezer like me. I'm 61 now. I was 60 last year when I bought this, so I asked myself on last year's video, what the heck am I doing on this thing at this point in my life? But like I said then, no rules for this stuff, so here I am on this thing. So now that I've owned this for a year, just wanted to follow up with another review. So I've got about, I think I put about 2,500 miles on this thing. Maybe not quite that, 23 or 400 last year. I have 4 bikes, so I can't rack up too many miles on any one bike, because I do try to ride them all. I only rode my vintage bikes maybe 500 apiece, so 1,000 between those two. But my GS is my daily rider, and this is just out for Sunday afternoon rides, kind of a bike. So I'm going to try and give you a list of the things I love about this bike, the things I don't like so much about it. And it's a beautiful March day. It's a little chilly, but I think it's about 42 or 3 degrees here. I'll have to check. I'll put that up on the screen. Got the heated grips. That is one thing I love about this bike. I've got them on high right now. I'll probably be turning them down to low as we move forward here. They get pretty warm, so I like the heated grips. Is just a really nice creature comfort. Even on a racing type sports bike like this, it's kind of a no-brainer, I think, to put heated grips on a bike. I live in Minnesota. If you want to ride, you gotta ride when it's cool out. I prefer riding when it's cool out. I don't have my heated gear on today because my leathers are a little snug with them on. They're snug anyway. I have lost some weight since last year. That's the good news. For anyone who might care, I've dropped 25 pounds doing keto. I'm kind of a carbaholic, so the keto diet really kind of works for me, because I just get off the carbs and I really don't even crave them, I don't want them. You just, once you're off them, you don't really give a hoot about them. Yeah, there are times when I'm jonesing for a piece of pizza with regular crust. Jonesing for something else carby. A donut would be nice every once in a while, but hey, whatever. It is what it is, and yeah, so my leathers are fitting a lot better this year than they did last year. One of the things I talked about last year was this race position, this all crunched up here in the sports bike position here. That is definitely something you get used to. I wasn't 100% sure I would get used to it, but I have. I'd say within 500 miles of riding this thing, I kind of don't even really notice that I'm all tucked up. Very acute angle with the leg position, but that's what these bikes are all about. I think I mentioned too last year this bike does not have as an aggressive position as some bikes do. But yeah, so your wrists can get a little bit tired holding yourself up, but this bike isn't horrible for that. And yeah, you kind of learn to pinch the tank with your legs and take some of the heat off your wrists. The other thing is, another option that is just a total plus is the cruise control. Because you can turn the cruise control on and kind of kick back a little bit with both hands and give your wrists a rest, so that's a good thing. So I've mentioned a couple of the things I like about it. I like the cruise control, I like the heated grips, the auto blipper, and the quick shift up, auto blip down. Here's down. Here it is. Don't do it. Thank you. And the quick shift up, it's flawless. Mentioned last time I hit a false neutral every once in a while with this thing when I'm using the clutch, but I have yet to get one with the quick shifter. It's married quite nicely to this engine. This transmission is just set up really good for that. Cop station right here, county sheriff, so gotta take it cool through here. One of the negatives I'll point out about this bike, the mirrors they're really solid, they don't vibrate, you can see clearly out of them at pretty much any speed or RPM, but your elbows are pretty much taking up at least half of the mirror. If they're adjusted right, they take up a solid half, maybe even a little more than half of the mirror lengthwise. Widthwise, I should say. So, you know, you got to tuck your arms in when you want to see behind you, which, you know, not a undoable, completely ridiculous thing to have to do, but it's... I don't know if bar-end mirrors would be the way to go. Something that hung out a little further would be probably more functional, but they're already hanging out there pretty far. They're kind of ugly as it is. I know a lot of guys put the bar ends on these things. I think that might be the way to go. It keeps you legal, and you can still see out of them. I might do that. Who knows? I'm not sure how long I'm going to be keeping this bike. I'm not getting any younger. Ah, look at that. I'm not going fast enough for this guy, I guess. Another thing I don't like about this bike is which again, all motorcycles can't pick on this one, especially the sports bikes, is the ugly tail bracket for the license plate and turn signals. I have bought a tail tidy for it, and the front turn signals, I'm going to replace those with a flush mounted, and then the tail tidy has a flush mounted turn signal built into it. Got that from Moto Million. I kind of shopped around a little bit. It was one of the more expensive ones, but it had the turn signals integrated. It's just a plug and play. My next video will be the install on that. There isn't much to it because I don't think there's going to be much to it. It's pretty much a plug and play, and I think it was pretty easy conversion. But so I'm going to do that on this thing. So that'll fix that. So that's a down for most motorcycles, including this one, but fixable, along with the mirrors. Mirrors is one of the negatives, but fixable. You can put some aftermarket stuff, put the bar and mirrors on it or something. I haven't made up my mind about the grips. I think they're okay. I like them, but I might put the I think they're Domino, if I got the name right there. They look pretty cool. They make a red one with the Domino name right on the grips there. Those look pretty good. It might be more for looks. I wouldn't mind a slightly larger diameter. I don't have huge hands, but it helps the fatigue factor a little bit. Slightly larger. You don't want it too big, then you feel like you're twisting a soup can or something. Thought you wanted to go fast. Of course, the number one love with respect to this motorcycle is the engine. This 4-cylinder 1,000 liter 997 or 998, whatever it is. Engine is just balanced so smoothly. It is just like got a sewing machine between your legs. It just kind of purrs along. It's got a little bit of a hum to it, but it's not a vibration. Some RPMs have a little vibration in the bars, but not cruising RPMs. You know, reasonable cruising RPMs like 50 to 70 is awesome. Yeah, you light this thing up to 3 digits. Not that I would ever do that, but if you were, 3 digits plus, sure, she's vibrating, but that's the least of your problems because you're hanging on so dang tight, and the wind is buffeting you, and it's just a survival, hang on for your life kind of a thing at that point. So you don't maintain those kinds of speeds even if a guy was inclined to do something like that. Again, not me, but so yeah, it's nice smooth engine. It's fast. It accelerates extremely fast. Everybody knows that about these bikes. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I've mentioned before, when you get to 8,000 RPM, doesn't matter what gear you're in, 8,000 RPM is where this thing just comes alive. I'm going to turn left up here. We've got some traffic here, so I'm going to come up on it kind of fast, downshift, and get over, get around this guy. There we go. Here we go. Compliment the engine, because a guy tends to get going pretty fast at times, is the brake. Brembo brakes on it, so just incredible stopping power with these things. Got wheelie control, but I think I have it turned down to 2 or something. Got this dial because the front end did come up on me there. Yeehaw! Yeah, this thing's a riot. I'm not sure how long I plan on keeping this bike. I wasn't even sure I was going to keep it another year, but this spring when I came out and kind of started getting my bikes ready to go for the new season here, I'm looking at this thing thinking I'm going to have to keep it one more year. Too much fun. Another negative, the insurance. I mentioned that last year, but again, it's more than double what my GS costs to insure. And it's because there's stupid kids on these things. So it's just what it is. But and another positive, kind of going back and forth between the good and the bad. For me, is the look of this bike. I absolutely think this is probably the second best looking motorcycle out there in the sports bike genre, which sports bikes probably are the best looking as far as the styling on a sports bike. I would say the best looking motorcycle out there is the Ducati Panigale. I don't care which Panigale you want to pick, they're all awesome. 8,000, whoa! So the Panigales are probably the best looking bike out there, and I think this is the next best looking bike. I love the front end. I have a buddy that has a Ninja, and he's a bike enthusiast, and he has a lot of opinions, and he has always hated the unsymmetrical front end headlight setup, and I personally think it's one of the things that makes this bike. It just makes it stand out. As like people look at it like, what the heck? I think I maybe mentioned it in the last year's video, I don't know, but the funniest line I've ever heard describing this bike, the front end of this bike, is a homecoming queen or a beauty queen with a lazy eye. Love it. The 2019, they've changed the styling on it, and it doesn't have the lazy eye anymore. It's symmetrical. Both sides of the both headlight lenses are identical, so my buddy thinks that looks great, and I think it doesn't look bad. It's just took away the unique asymmetrical front end look that I have always kind of appreciated. Either love it or hate it, I guess, so there's that. Love the sound of the bike, which is maybe more associated with the engine. I should have talked about that with the engine. Loving the engine, loving the sound of the engine is as much a part of motorcycling as anything is how your bike sounds. Last year I said I was going to just stick with the stock can because I think the bike sounds cool, and it does, it did, but I didn't want to spend a ton of money on an aftermarket can, and I certainly didn't want to spend a ton of money on a full system, because I just ride this in the street, and I'm just a lazy Sunday afternoon kind of guy on this thing. I'm not going to go race it. I wouldn't mind taking it to the track just for the experience, but that would be still, I'm not looking for top performance. I'm not trying to compete. So, but yeah, I looked up the Dan Moto can for this bike, and it was only $169 or something like that. I have a video on installing that. It was a piece of cake. It literally took me 15-20 minutes maybe to put that thing on, and it sounds cool too, but really, you know what I really like is that it looks so much better. The stock can was, well, first off, it was probably 5 or 6 pounds of weight savings. The stock can was huge, it was heavy, and it was just a little bit, not ugly looking, but it was bulky looking, and it took up most of the right side of the bike as far as visually. So visually or aesthetically, the Dan Moto can that I got, I think the thing that sold me on getting it was, well, number one, the price was just reasonable, and it has a carbon fiber finish on it that pretty much matches the carbon fiber. It's a gloss finish on this bike, and it matched that pretty much perfectly. So I think it just looks a lot better. So it sounds even better than it did before, so there's another plus. I love the sound of this bike. I know the GoPro does not pick up the sound, it does not do it justice. Take this road when I'm on my GS because I think it turns into dirt, so I'm not going to do that on this, so I might have to turn around. See how high the river is here. Yeah, it's rushing along pretty good. It's April 29th in Minnesota. We've had a lot of snow in February, so the rivers are all swelling. This one usually kind of just trickles along, and she's raging along pretty good there. Still snow on the ground, as you can see. Stuck up blonde, wouldn't wave. That sign right there, and lack of pavement, lack of asphalt are the two reasons why I take my GS down here all the time. Love taking that thing off-road. The next best thing to off-road is dirt roads. Twisty dirt roads. Still there's a lot of sand on the road. You guys gotta watch out for that. I would love to be able to tell you all about the electronics, and every year they reinvent this thing with respect to all that, so I can never remember which year's got which, and I haven't played too much with it, much of all that stuff. Like I said, Sunday rider. Today's Friday though. I would have to throw comfort in there there, mildly, just a low-level dislike. It's not a horribly uncomfortable bike, but it's just, it goes with the sports bike styling and riding position. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it is what it is. But I'll throw that in the mild category for a dislike. My dislike list is the cost of insurance. Possibly the image that these bikes have with other riders and with the general public, because kids go out and do stupid stuff on these things, which is why the insurance is so high. I just can't think of anything else. The mirrors. So, high insurance, race position, somewhat. Mirrors, not very effective. That's about all I can think of. The pluses, the engine, the styling, the look of it, the sound of it. The engine is just seeming so well matched with the transmission with respect to the quick shifter up and the auto blipper down. So like the quick shifter, the heated grips, the auto, I was going to say autopilot, the cruise control. Really nice features that, well, the auto blipper is kind of becoming standard on every bike now, but the quick shifter / auto blipper. But the heated grips and the cruise control, you don't see that too much. Maybe it's starting to see it more, but on a 16, this is a 2015, you didn't see that on the sports bikes. BMW led the show on that. And the fun factor is why people ride motorcycles. Not that any motorcycle is not fun. You could go have fun on a Vespa scooter, you know. Anything's fun, but how much bang you get? How much fun bang are you getting for your money? You know, gotta weigh all that stuff out. And this is no doubt one of the most fun motorcycles I've ever ridden. It's just got so much oomph, so much character. I've heard people talk about this bike lacking character, and man alive, I don't know what they're talking about. Again, I have not ridden a ton of these things. I know they mean, you know, engine grunt and sound and the snap, crackle, pop. But this thing snaps and pops a lot. You know, I know the Ducati Panigale is touted as having way more character than this bike. I don't know. I love the Panigale. I've never ridden one. I want one bad. I'd love to have one. They're very expensive, and I don't know if I'll ever own one. I doubt it. So, but I don't know. I think this bike has a ton of character. It's just, it's with you. It's like a good buddy. He's just always at your side, ready to help you out. It just corners well. It's, you know, it's low-end CG. It's not top-heavy at all. It's flickable. It's stuck to the road. It's fast. It's sporty. It's cool looking. It's cool sounding. I don't know what's lacking as far as character. What is it you're looking for in a motorcycle? Is it too good a bike? Character means you gotta work for it? I don't know. But anyway, I think the bike's a hoot. So that wraps up my 1 year review of this bike. Oh, another negative, it's kind of a bugger to clean. Again, almost every motorcycle that is the case, but there are so many little nooks and crannies on this thing. My GS is worse than this for nooks and crannies. To get a really good job cleaning it, it takes hours. This is not as bad as the GS, but it's bad. It's a lot of work to keep it clean. But again, that's part of owning a motorcycle. So anyway, those are my likes and dislikes after owning this bike for a year. I'm going to keep it another year at least, and hope I have a good, safe year on this bike again, and I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, thanks, bye.